Kenan, the stage is yours.
Perfect. Real quick before I start, first of all, let's just give another round of applause for all the speakers that just spoke. They did a great job, right? Perfect. I also want to mention for the speakers, there's always a glass of water, okay? So if you're thirsty and you need to catch up, if you forgot something, just get a glass of water. But today, I'm not going to be up here for too long, but I want to share with you guys a story, an idea that's actually been on my mind for quite a while now. So as soon as I turned 18, well, 2 weeks later after I turned 18, I received a letter in the mail. And this wasn't a letter from my grandma or my cousin wishing me a happy birthday. Instead, it was a letter from the US government. So when I saw that letter, I was kind of confused, why did I receive the letter from the government? Do they want to wish me a happy birthday? Did they confuse me with the president? I had no idea what was going on. So I opened the letter, I read it, and I quickly realized that the government wasn't wishing me a happy birthday. Instead, I had just received a letter from the US military, and more specifically, the Selective Service System. Now, the Selective Service, for those of you that don't know what that is, basically, as soon as you turn 18 years old and you're an American citizen, you have to register with the draft. Okay? That means that if the US engages in an all-out massive conflict and they need additional troops, your name will be placed in a lottery, and if you're the lucky one that's chosen, you have to go to war. So you have no choice, it's completely obligatory. That's exactly what happened during the Vietnam War. I'm pretty sure many people are familiar with that. So I read this letter, okay, I signed it, I had to sign it and I sent it back unless I wanted to be fined $250,000 and spend 5 years in prison. So, after signing this letter and sending it back, I had a lot of questions in my mind. A lot of questions. I was asking myself, why did I need to sign this letter? Why did I need to register with the US military just because I'm an American citizen? Why does a piece of paper, namely my passport, dictate my actions? So I really thought about this for a while, and it really hit me that so many of us, we are controlled, we are limited by something that we virtually have no control over. I mean, nobody in this room had control over where they were born. And if one of you did, then I'd love to speak with you after the event, because that'd be really interesting to know. But, I mean, it's really crazy when you think about it, because nobody has the power to choose where they want to be born, yet your place of birth and your passport have one of the biggest impacts on your life. Your passport can determine whether or not you're allowed entrance to a country. Your passport can determine whether you get the job or not. Your passport can determine whether you're classified as a terrorist or not. Your passport can literally make the difference between a life and death situation. Just a piece of paper can really make that difference. So, I found it super crazy, when I thought about this, the power of a passport, how can that piece of paper literally influence my life? And so, when people ask me, where are you from, what's your nationality? Of course, it's a long story. When they ask me, what's your nationality? I say, I'm American. That's my nationality. And I always find it super funny. I find it, ridiculous, because I always get two responses from these people. Either they say, wow, you're American, or they say, oh, you're American. Two completely different responses. And what hit me was that your passport doesn't only dictate your own actions, but it also influences the way people view you, just based on your nationality. So on the one hand, people might view me not exactly as Kennedy, but maybe as someone who's very social, outgoing, who likes to talk a lot. On the other hand, I might be viewed as someone who loves McDonald's and who thinks Paris is the capital of Germany. And it really struck me. Okay, this passport, this little piece of paper has such a huge influence on my life. And so, all jokes aside, I want to leave you guys with one question, okay? The question I want to ask you guys is, if you had the power to choose any passport in the world, which one would you actually choose? Okay? Would you stick with the passport you currently have? Would you choose a passport from a superpower, maybe the United States? Or, it is a superpower. I hope so. Or would you perhaps choose a passport from a small African country, maybe one of the countries hardest to travel through? Just take a second, let that sink in, because it's something that we really don't consider. So, at the end of the day, I'm going to keep this speech relatively short. At the end of the day, no matter which passport you pick, it will have, a huge influence on your life. Okay? And the question we all have to come back to is, do we actually live in a globalized society where we say, people can travel freely, it's so easy to get from one country to another? Or do we just live in a world that's full of islands of nationalities? Okay? So what I want you guys to take away from this speech is, the next time you go travel, next time you go somewhere, you go to the border, you go to the customs, and you take out your passport, I want you guys to really think about, what's the meaning of that passport? How does that passport influence your life? How does that little piece of paper determine where you can go? Because on the one hand, it gives you so much freedom to go wherever you want, but on the other hand, it limits you from so many different possibilities. So I want you guys, the next time you go travel and pull out your passport, to think about the passport